So yesterday, this is where we left off on our brainstorming. We picked a favorite holiday, so in my case it was Halloween. We put a line around it, a big, thick, bright line, so we know which holiday we picked. And then I started writing down things that I think of when I think of Halloween. Now, if you notice, I've got a lot of stuff here. There's a lot of circles, a lot of ideas. Now, sometimes we can say that having a lot of ideas is a good thing, but what we need to do now is, if we're going to turn this into a prompt, into a piece of writing, like we talked about before, writers take a lot of time to go through and make their writing as good as it possibly can be. They want it to be the best that it can be. So the first thing I want to do is I want to get rid of some of these ideas. I want to use only the best ideas. Kind of like when you go to Walmart or to Albertsons or to any grocery store. If you're gonna go and get apples or bananas or tomatoes, whatever, you don't just go and grab whatever is closest to you. A lot of times you look through them, you try to find the best ones, right? If you go there and you see an onion or a tomato or a banana and it's all kind of brown and soft, do you want to pick that banana or that tomato to take home and to eat? No. The same thing is true of our ideas. When I look through my ideas, sometimes I might have had an idea that I think of when I think of Halloween, and maybe it's like one of those kind of brown, squishy bananas. Or maybe it's like, one of those tomatoes that's maybe just a little bit too old. It's not a very good idea, not something I want to use in my writing. So I'm going to look at my ideas and I'm going to start getting rid of some of them. And I want to leave just the best ones. Now for your prompt, what I would say a good amount of ideas to end up with is 3 or 4 ideas. If you have 3 or 4 ideas, that gives you plenty to write about. And you can make sure you only pick the best ones. So I want you all to take a look at my ideas, the ones I have right now. I have spooky decorations, costumes, trick or treat, haunted houses, scary movies, candy, face paint, burgers and chile con queso, jack-o'-lanterns, and cavities. Just looking at my ideas here, the things that I think about when I think of Halloween, do you see anything that is maybe not so great? Something that's maybe kind of bad or not a good thing that I can get rid of? Noah, what do you think? Is there something in here that's bad that I can get rid of?
Cavities.
Cavities, definitely, right? Because I might go, oh yeah, you eat all that candy, and then your teeth start to hurt, and then like you gotta go to the dentist. The dentist puts that stuff in your mouth, and it tastes really gross. They gotta use that little drill, and it's going. That's not super fun. So if I put that in my piece of writing, and I go, oh man, I love Halloween, because then you get cavities, and you gotta go to the dentist, and they gotta give you that stuff, and it tastes gross, and then they take forever, and then you're there all day. The person reading my story is gonna go, I don't know why you like that. That doesn't sound fun. That sounds like a bad thing. And I want them to understand why I like it. So you're right. I don't wanna write about cavities. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go up here to my shapes. I'm gonna go to equation and I'm gonna find the X. I wanna put a big X over cavities. Okay? No, I don't want to use that idea. Yes, Alexa.
How did you do the X again?
Here, I'll show you. You go back to our button up here, the one that says shape. Got the circle and the square. I'm going to click on it. I'm going to go down to the last option, the one that says equation. And it's actually a multiplication symbol. But I'm going to click on it. And then I'm going to click on it, drag it out. and I get my x. I'm going to cross that out. Okay, I don't want to talk about cavities.
Okay, thank you.
Now, if I look at all these other ones are okay. I don't mind them. Now, we might say scary movies because not everyone likes scary movies, but I do. Those are my favorites. So I definitely want to leave that in there. Yes, Jadine.
So what if you don't want to delete any? Like, what do you think? All of them are good and you could cooperate all of them in your story.
Well, this is what we're going to do. Like I said, we don't want too many ideas because then our writing is going to be too long and we won't have enough time to explain any of our ideas very well. We're going to kind of have to move like we talk about this for a sentence and then a sentence about this and then a sentence about this. And that's not what we want. Yeah, Chase, you absolutely can. If I wanted to make my X red or something, I would just click on it, then click on my paint bucket, and I can make it red to show, no, don't want that idea.
Well, thank you.
So I'm going to look at the rest of them, because the rest of these are okay. I kind of have the same problem that Jadine does. I don't mind any of these other ideas. I like them. But again, when you go to Walmart, when you go to Albertsons, and you're looking for tomatoes or onions, or bananas or apples, you always try to find the best ones. Because you don't want just an okay banana or an okay tomato. You want the best ones. Because they taste the best, right? Same thing with our ideas. We don't want just an okay idea. We want the best ideas. Because we want our writing to be the best. So I'm going to start looking at my ideas. After I get rid of the ones that I know are just bad, they don't make sense, or like with cavities, it's not a very good thing, I'm going to start looking at my ideas and see maybe some of them kind of go together. Maybe some of my ideas are maybe not exactly the same, but very close to the same. As spooky decorations, scary movies, burgers and chile con queso, costumes, candy, jack-o'-lanterns, trick-or-treat, face paint, and haunted houses. Does anybody see two of my ideas that kind of like go together or are very close? Alexa, do you see any that kind of go together?
Trick or treat and candy?
Okay, trick or treat and candy. Those definitely go together, right? Because when you trick or treat, what are you getting?
What are you doing? Oh, don't go into my account, please.
Candy.
You get candy. So I'm going to take trick or treat and I'm going to take candy and I'm going to kind of put them not right over each other, but kind of together. So these two are like a group. Okay. Do I see any more that kind of go together that maybe not exactly the same, but they're close? Chase, do you see two that kind of go together? What are two more ideas I have here, Chase, that kind of go together? That they're maybe not exactly the same, but they're very close to being the same. Face paint and costumes. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to put costumes and face paint. Again, not right over each other, but kind of together so I know that they're a group. Does anybody see other ones that I could put together? Jadine, you see some I could put together?
I'm not asking about that. I'm asking why are we putting them together?
Because if they're together, let's say trick-or-treating and candy, right? We put those together.
Yeah.
If I try to write about them like they're two separate things, I'm just going to end up saying the same thing over and over again. So let's take trick-or-treat and candy as an example. If I say, oh, I like Halloween because I can go trick-or-treating, and then when I go trick-or-treating, I get candy. And then later on, I talk about candy. I go, well, I get candy from going trick-or-treating. So when I go out trick-or-treating, I get candy. I'm just going to end up saying the same things over and over again. And
sorry.
That's okay. And if you're a reader and you're reading this and it's just saying the same thing over and over again, number one, that doesn't make it a very good piece of writing. And number two, you can kind of get confused because you might think, but didn't they already talk about the candy? Why are they talking about it again?
Ooh, it's a pumpkin.
So I'm putting them together. That way I can just talk about them at the same time. And I don't have to keep saying the same thing over and over and over again.
Oh, Mister, I have 8 ideas.
Okay. Like I said, that's not a bad thing. Right now, we're just trying to, first, you get rid of the bad ideas. The next thing we're doing is putting together the ideas that belong together. Then I'm going to show you some other things that are going to help us go down from 8 to just those 3 or 4 good ideas. Nakai, we have to add this page. So right underneath the yellow rectangle, there's a button that has a plus sign where we added all of our ideas. You have to click on that plus sign, and then you start adding circles or rectangles with your ideas. Yes, Jaylene.
I was ready for the next one.
Okay, what ideas do you see that you think kind of go together?
Spooky decorations and jack-o'-lanterns.
That's a good one. So spooky decorations. Let me move this one a little bit over. Spooky decorations and jack-o'-lanterns. Because people use jack-o'-lanterns for decoration, right? I can put those two together in a group. Do I see any more that might go together? Or are those all the ones that go together? Kylie, what do you think?
I actually have a different question.
Okay.
Do we need to put the X?
Do you what?
Do we need to put the X on one of our circles?
We're putting the X on the ones we don't want to talk about. So we said cavities, right? Cavities is not a very good thing. It's not it's not something I like. So if it's not something I like, I don't want to write about it. So the X just tells me, no, this idea is a bad idea. I'm not going to use it.
It's because one of my circles, I have 8 ideas, and one of my circles is not with another one.
Okay, that's fine. Not all of them are going to have a group. So like on mine, right here, haunted houses doesn't really have a group. Scary movies doesn't have a group. And burgers and chile con queso does not have a group. These are all separate things. Not all of them are going to have groups. And that's okay. We're just putting the ones together that do have a group. Because again, we don't want to keep saying the same thing over and over in our writing. So some of them will have a group and some of them won't. That's okay.
Okay.
Okay. Yes, Noah.
I have a question and an answer.
Okay.
Can we put 3?
Yeah, if you have 3 that go together, that absolutely makes sense.
Okay.
You could even have
You
4
can-
or 5 that go together.
So you can put the scary haunted houses with the spooky decorations and jack-o'-lanterns.
You're right. The spooky decorations, a lot of times people try to make their house look like a haunted house. So that could be a group. Spooky decorations, haunted houses, and jack-o'-lanterns. And that was a really good question, Noah. It's not just groups of 2 things. It can be groups of 3 or 4 or 5 ideas. It could all be talking about the same thing. Now, scary movies doesn't really go with these. Burgers and chile con queso does not really go with these. So those ones are on their own. So right now what I want you to do, and I'll give you a little bit of time to do this, I want you to look at your ideas, and I want you to do the same thing. Look at them. If there's anything that's just not a very good idea, we're going to put an X on it. And if there are any ideas you have that kind of go together, put them together, kind of like I did here. Okay? I'll give you some time. Go ahead and do that with your ideas, and then I'll show you what we're going to do next. Okay, so like I told you, we want to end up with about 3 or 4 ideas. That's a good number to end up with. If I look here, I have 1, 2, I've got a group, so 3, another group, 4, And another group, 5. Okay, so I have a little bit too much to talk about. I want to try to get rid of some of that. Okay? What I do now is, again, it doesn't mean that these ideas are bad. They're perfectly fine ideas. But for my writing, if it's going to be the best writing I can make, I'm only going to use the best ideas I have. So I'm going to have to look at these and go, okay, what is the most important thing to me? Out of all these ideas, which one do I like the most? So I have to look at them. Okay, burgers and chile con queso. Those burgers are good. I like the chile con queso. It's spicy. Scary movies. I really like scary movies. I like watching them. Costumes and face paint. I think those are pretty fun. I like them. I like the decorations with the jack-o'-lanterns or the ones that make it look like a haunted house. Trick-or-treating's pretty fun. You get candy. But I need to figure out which one is my favorite. Now what I can do is I can start thinking about, okay, like for me, and again, this works for mine, probably not for yours. But when you get older, you can't really go trick-or-treating anymore. If you show up at people's houses, they don't like giving you candy as much as they do when you're younger. Even if you dress up. Usually when I go trick-or-treating now, I go with my little nieces and they get the candy. I don't get the candy unless I ask them for some. So when I was little, this was awesome. I would go and get candy all the time, but then I got older and older and older and people didn't want to give me candy anymore. So I can go, you know what? Trick-or-treating, I don't really do that anymore. Now I'm the one giving out candy. So not as fun. It's cool to see the costumes though. So, you know, maybe I don't want to talk about this. That leaves me with 4 ideas left. I still want to pick the one that's the most important to me, the one I like the best. Well, if I had to pick the best, the one that I think is the best part about Halloween, and go, you know what? It's the scary movies. Those are my favorite kind of movies. I love watching scary movies. They're fantastic. So I'm going to put a number 1. Because that's my first idea. My best idea, the one I'm going to talk about first. And since I said, you know what? Trick-or-treating, I'm too old. People don't give me candy anymore. I'm going to go ahead and cross that out too. Because for me, they don't really do that for me anymore. Unfortunately, I got too old. Okay, so I have a number 1 idea. Now I need to pick a number 2 idea. Okay, if this is my most important, the thing I like the most, what's the thing I like second most? Costumes and face painting. The spooky decorations, the jack-o'-lanterns, the haunted houses. Or the burgers with chile con queso. Well, if I had to pick, I think I like the decorations more than I like the costumes. Because the decorations, there's a lot of different decorations, and also sometimes the costumes can get hot. But the house doesn't complain that it's getting hot. The house just looks good. So I'm going to say my decorations, that's going to be 2. That's my second important idea. Which means my costume is going to be number 3. And my burgers and my chile con queso is number 4. The reason why we put them in order, like what we think is the most important, and then the second most and the third most, is because of this. Usually when I'm writing my story, your first idea, since it's the most important, you talk about it first. Your second idea comes second. Your third idea comes third. The fourth idea doesn't always fit. Sometimes your story gets to be a little bit too long. Okay? And I want to give you an example here. Let me see if it'll show up. Okay. Kind of. Okay, I've got a blanket here, right? So, blankets are really awesome. They keep you nice and warm at night. But if you get a blanket and it's really, really short, like a baby blanket, and it's only this big, is this little teeny tiny blanket gonna keep me warm when I'm going to sleep at night? No, it doesn't even cover my feet or anything. Nothing. If my blanket is way too long, like it covers my feet and then it covers my bed and then my room and then it covers the room next to me, is that good too? It's better, but if the blanket is too big, then I have a hard time even getting under the blanket. Because then I gotta go all the way to the edge, pull up the blanket, and then cover myself with the blanket. And then I gotta go back and find my bed under the blanket. So, that's like our story. If my story is too short, it's like that really teeny tiny baby blanket. It doesn't cover me. There's a lot of stuff left that is gonna be cold and left out. If my blanket is too long, well, then it gets kind of hard to use. And if it's too long, your reader is going to kind of look at it and go, oh man, this is a lot to read. I don't know if I want to finish all that. I don't know if I want to read all that. So we got to find a way to make sure that our writing isn't too short, where we have a lot of stuff left out, but that it's not too long. Okay? So that fourth idea, that's the idea you use in case it's too short. So in case your idea is a little too short, you use that fourth idea to make it a little bit longer and make sure everything is covered. But if you already have a lot of writing, that fourth idea is something that you can kind of leave out. Okay? It's the least important one. So I want you to look at your ideas and I want you to get rid of anything that you don't want and get it down to 3 or 4 ideas. If you can get it down to 3, that's awesome. That's perfect. If you need a 4th one or if you want a 4th one, that's fine. But number them. Number 1, number 2, number 3, and if you need it or if you want it, number 4. Yes, Jaylene.
I have four groups. Is that okay?
If they're all in groups, that's okay. Like I said, if there's one that's kind of left out, that's okay too.
Okay.
Yes, Violet.
Can we have more than 4?
No. Like I said, even though that big huge blanket that covers you and your room and the room next to you is better than that really short teeny tiny blanket, that's too big for us to really use. And if your story's too long, it's going to make it harder for your reader to understand, and honestly, they're a little bit less likely to read it. It's too much.
Okay.
So we want to get it down to 3 ideas or 4 ideas.
All right.
Okay. And it doesn't mean that the other ideas are bad. Like, again, my trick-or-treating idea isn't a terrible, awful, horrible idea. It's just not one of the best ones. At least for me, because, again, I'm a little bit too old for trick-or-treating.
But I have 4 groups.
If you have 4 groups, that's okay. Because, here, again, face paint goes along with the costumes. That's part of that group. Haunted houses and jack-o'-lanterns go with my decorations. That's part of that group. So this group is what I'm going to talk about second. And this group is what I'm going to talk about third.
I was just wondering because I had 4 groups.
So I have them numbered. I know what order they go in. I know what's my most important. I know what's my second most important, my third most, and my fourth most. This is my plan. When I start writing, I know what I'm going to talk about first. I know what I'm going to talk about second. I know what I'm going to talk about third. And I know what I'm going to talk about fourth if I need to. This is where we can actually start our writing. Okay? So under the writing topic. So again, in classwork, writing, there's a assignment that just says prompt favorite holiday. Yes, Kylie. You're muted right now, baby. I can't hear you.
Would presents count as decorations?
I wouldn't count them as decorations. There might be some decorations that look like presents, but usually when you say presents, you mean the ones that you're going to open up, right? The ones that are for you. So when you get presents,
I'm talking about like decorating a Christmas tree, and then I put presents under the Christmas tree.
I would put ornaments under decorations, but presents I wouldn't. Only because the presents don't stay there, right? Like you don't go to the Christmas tree and get the ornaments and take them off and open them up and play with them. But the presents, you do. They look really pretty, but I wouldn't call them decorations. Because normally decorations are things that you put up and you leave them there. You don't touch them, you don't mess with them, they're just there for you to look at. And presents aren't just there for us to look at. They're there for us to open up, for us to use, and for us to enjoy. So I would keep those two things separate. Yes, Bella.
But I have
Oh,
two
sorry.
for
So what was your question, Kylie?
I only have two circles for decorations.
You don't have to have more than that. Here, let me see yours. And I'll tell you. So again, you don't have to have 4. You have 4 right now.
What was that noise?
But what I would do, so you have one group, and I'll do it on your page. I'll show you. Okay. You've got one group here. You've got another group here. Got one idea here. And you've got a last idea there. What I would do here is these two that are off by their own, Kylie, I would put them into one. I would make them one last group because both of those are very similar. You do one part first and then you do the other part next. So all you have to do is figure out which group to talk about first. What's the thing you like most about this holiday? So that would be the first thing you talk about. And then what's the second thing I like most? Then that's the second. Then what's the third thing I like most? And that's your third. So you're just putting them in order of how much do you like them. What do you like the most is number 1. Second most is number 2. Third most is number 3. Yes, Bella.
Yes.
Is an elf on the shelf a decoration for Christmas?
I would say so. I would say it's part of your decorations.
Because Santa does take back the elf whenever Christmas is over.
He does, but you do the same thing with your decorations too, right? Like the Halloween decorations. I like spooky stuff, so don't get me wrong. I would love to have like spider webs and skeletons hanging around all year. But people are probably going to look at me pretty funny when it's Christmas time and I have like skeletons hanging out in the front yard. They're probably going to go, I don't know about that.
My parents keep their Christmas tree because they like to decorate it like different.
See?
Like different
And that's an
holidays.
awesome idea. But you change the decorations, right? So you have
Mhm.
Christmas decorations for Christmas. You might have like, let's say, green ones for St. Patrick's Day. You might have like black and orange ones for Halloween. You have different decorations for different holidays. So
But my
decorations,
sister broke the ornaments for the Halloween.
yeah. So the decorations don't stay up all the time. They're only up for when it's time for them to have them. So decorations do go away and they come back. So I would count Elf on a Shelf as part of the decorations, because even though it gets taken away and then, you know, it comes back, that's kind of what decorations do. Because
We got an elf.
we don't have a Christmas house all year or a Halloween house all year.
But they come back in November.
Yeah, they come back whenever it's time for them to come back.
You know what? Last year, somebody kept up all their Halloween stuff on accident.
Yeah, sometimes we forget and we leave it up. We did that one year over at my house too. We had the Christmas tree up and we kept saying, okay, the Christmas tree's really pretty. We'll take it down next week and next week and next week and next week. And we did that for a whole year. And then it was November again and we went, hey, we have the Christmas tree ready already. That's nice. We kind of forgot for a whole year. But that happens sometimes. But usually once the holiday is over, you take down the decorations for that holiday. So they
And
don't
we
stay
have
up all year, usually.
Okay. Okay. Anyway, we still have an Elf on the Shelf for Halloween.
Yeah, but that's, I would still count it as decoration. I think that's where it belongs. If you have Elf on a Shelf and decoration, I would say they go together.
But you know what? After Halloween, he disappears. You know what? Last year, you know what the Elf on the Shelf did? He wrapped my whole parents' toilet with wrapping paper.
So it's a Halloween elf.
Yeah, it's a Halloween elf, but he put it in like, you know that Halloween wrapping paper you can get
Mm-hmm.
for like birthdays? He put that on there
Oh,
because
okay.
my mom's birthday is on October 29th.
Well, that kind of sounds like something a Halloween elf would do, like a trick or treat
Yeah,
elf.
and then you know what he did in my bedroom?
Okay,
He wrapped
hang
the
on,
whole
Bella. Hang on, because we need to move on with this one, okay? But I would definitely use that in your story. If you're gonna write about that holiday, I would use that. Haley.
Mine and Kylie's Elf on the Shelf. Our Elf on the Shelf, like one of them almost fall, and I got it with a blanket, and it was kind of hard,
Yeah.
like the head.
She was messing with the ornaments in the tree. And then
I was only looking at it.
I like those. I think those are pretty neat. Sometimes you don't know what's gonna happen next with the Elf on the Shelf. Alexa?
Do we start the writing now?
Yeah, I'm gonna talk about that right now. Kylie?
Actually, that didn't happen because it was Christmas time. It was like the day before Christmas that Kelly was messing with the ornaments, and then the elf on the shelf was in the tree, and like it fell down.
Yeah, you gotta be well, especially with the ornaments and stuff, you have to be very careful. Some of them are very fragile.
I have two Elf on the Shelf.
That's cool.
One at my nana's and at my house.
I would definitely say if you all are writing about Christmas, I would definitely put the Elf on a Shelf as part of our writing.
We had two of them. One was named Holly Jolly, and another one was Hinkle McCrinkleberry.
Those are really good elf names.
Mm-hmm.
I like the different names that the elves have.
Holly Jolly was the one that fell in the tree, and then we had some in our fan. We had one in our fan.
They can get everywhere. Okay. So now that we have our ideas numbered, we know what's our most important, our second most and our third most. We're going to go to classwork. We're going to go to writing. And we're going to go to this assignment. It says prompt favorite holiday. When I click on it, it's going to give me a blank page. This is where I'm going to start my writing. Okay? Now, this part is important. For your writing, I want you to start it off, and you have to start it off by answering the prompt. So if my prompt is, write about your favorite holiday and what makes it special, I have to make sure that from sentence number 1, my reader knows what is my favorite holiday. So I want you to start off with just answering that question. What is my favorite holiday? In my case, I could write a sentence like, Halloween is the best holiday, period. Now, I know not everybody's writing about Halloween. Some of us are writing about Christmas or Easter or 4th of July or whatever holiday we picked. So not everyone's going to say Halloween's the best holiday, because it wouldn't make sense to say that and then start talking about Christmas trees. They don't go together. It wouldn't make sense to say Halloween is the best holiday and then tell me about fireworks on the 4th of July. That doesn't make sense. So you have to start off by telling me what holiday you picked. What holiday do you think is the best? And then I want you, for right now, to just talk about that first reason. Whatever was the most important thing to you for that holiday, that's all I want you to write about. So 1 sentence telling me what holiday you chose, and then talk about that first reason and tell me about it. Why do you like it? Why is it important? Why is it your favorite? Don't worry about the second reason and the third and the fourth yet. Just do those 2 things. What holiday did you choose? What's the most important thing about that holiday to you? We're just going to do the first reason for now. We'll do the other reasons a different day. So we're going to work on it little by little.